everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show. It's your host, George Acheampong.
Yeah, Carter here. You already know.
And of course, we got our guest, you know what I'm saying? Todd Capital.
Todd Capital, Todd Billion, Todd Millionaire.
All of those. All of those names.
All of those.
Don't ever play yourself. And so it's always a pleasure, getting to bring people on the show. And so far, when we do guests, which we know we've been 100% success rate, we get them in person. So it's great because the energy is always good. We're just happy to dive in. He's a pillar in the culture of helping Black people build wealth. And so we got to have him on the Melanin Money Show, man. Glad to have you on the show, bro.
Happy to be here, man. It's kind of cool to see you guys in the same place.
Yeah.
You guys, at first I thought you were the same person for a while.
No, dude, when we go out, people are like, y'all brothers? I'm like, bro, like, I look better than this dude, man. I don't understand.
Now he's lying on camera, right? but we gonna roll with it. But man, so it's perfect segue, man. So who is Charles Oglesby? Am I saying it right?
Charles Oglesby. Yeah, so Charles Oglesby.
What's your story?
My story is, I would just say, I grew up seeing a mom going out there and getting it. I grew up on the college campus. I tell people that I grew up at San Diego State. So my mom, she was a working mom. My parents got married. They got divorced when I was really young. Moved out here to California. And she was just getting it. She worked her day job, and she said that she wanted to do more with her life. She wanted to become an accountant. She wanted to become a CPA.
Oh, really?
And so she was just grinding. So we were in school during the day. She was in school at nighttime. She was in school on the weekend studying, and so we were always with her. So weekends, you're just on college campuses, and it became ingrained in me. Like, I knew I was going to college. It was nothing that you could tell me that I wasn't going to college. And so I ended up going to school for finance and working as a financial advisor.
Okay.
So I did that. I think I kind of got in a little bit too early. And I was struggling. I was out there trying to figure out how to invest these super, I guess, wealthy people's money. And I kept hitting the wall. Like, I had some success, but it just wasn't what I was hoping for because my clientele just wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
I got out of college and
I mean, you're young, trying to invest, older people.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, let me, this young guy, Black guy, invest your money for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And the crazy thing is, like, you have a natural market. So they always talk about that. Like, the people that are in your circle, they make you write a list down of all the people that you know and start calling them.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who I knew was just out of college. They didn't have no money. A lot of people went back to school because I graduated into a recession. So I graduated in 2009.
Same.
The economy crashed in 2007, 2008, 2009 were just terrible years to be asking anybody to invest in stock from the stock market just got cut in half. So from there, I ended up working in private banking. And I went from working with just like general high net worth people to specific over $250,000 in assets, high net worth people, which, I mean, now it doesn't seem like that much.
I don't even feel like that much money, bro. I'm like, high net worth over $250,000.
Like back then, I was like, they rich. And so, I mean, I tell people that 250 is the base. So I'm dealing with people who have like 900,000. They have like these crazy accounts coming in. So it opened my eyes to a whole new level of wealth that my people didn't have access to. And I knew that I needed to match the two. I needed to bring my people to that level of lifestyle. And then I also knew that I couldn't do it working for that company. I had to build my own company.
Yeah, that makes total sense, man. And I remember, obviously, I've known your brand before I knew you. And, I just saw how you continue to, grow your brand and all that good stuff. So where did the name or the names, like, where did like Todd Billion, like, where did it come from?
We talked about this before off set, man. You have to tell us so just like you told us to me.
Yeah, I need to hear this.
So we went to Vegas, which apparently you guys are going to Vegas. And when you go to Vegas when you're young, you kind of want to you want to be like an alter ego a little bit. Yeah. And so everybody in the group's like, what's your name? And I said, my name's gonna be Hunter Todd. And somebody else was like Stacy Joe. Somebody else had some crazy name.
Yeah.
And the name Hunter Todd just stuck with me. And I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I read about Ralph Lauren. He started with the necktie company. And I was like, let me start a necktie company. And I said, I'm gonna call this necktie company Hunter Todd Neckwear. Put it up on.
I got a ring to it.
Yeah. It sounds pretty prestigious. And I put it up on big cartels out there selling ties. I had a pretty cool system where I would sell the tie, I would market the tie, sell the tie, and then buy the tie and get it to the customer.
So it was like you didn't have to have the inventory yet.
Right, didn't have the inventory.
Yeah, gotcha,
right.
Gotcha.
Right. And so I realized, you know what? I don't want to be in fashion. I'm not a fashion type of dude. My actual core is finance. Yeah. And so let me just go ahead and drop the Hunter off, and I'm gonna just build a company called Todd Capital. And from there, I just kind of held onto the name Todd. For the longest time, I was Hunter Todd Law on Twitter. Yeah. And I just kind of built that brand around being in law school, being an aspiring attorney. And then once I got through there, then I said, what's the next goal? Net worth is the next goal. And so I took off the law and I was like, all right, so millionaire. And I always believe in speaking things
That's
before you walk into them. And so one of those ways is to call yourself what you want to be as well. And so I was calling myself a lawyer before I was a lawyer. I called myself a millionaire before I became a millionaire. And I'm calling myself a billionaire, and we just aiming at B's all day. So that's really the story there.
You know, it's hilarious. I'm like, bro, I thought your name was Todd for the longest. Man, what's good? Like, you know, he's like, it's Charles. I'm like, where's Todd come from? He said, bro, like, it's just a cool name, bro. Nobody wants to follow like Charles Millionaire. It's like, you know. I'm like, bro, how you want it? That's my name. I'm taking them running with it. So
yeah, no, that's funny. That's dope though. That's dope. I always wanted to know that. I'm surprised I haven't asked you yet.
Yeah.
And so you have your like personal brand page, and you have like the Tide, is it Tide Billion, Tide
Capital page, right?
So Tide Billion is your personal page.
Tide Billion's personal page, and then Tide
Tide
Capital is the
Capital's
business
like
page.
the brand page, right? So just let's talk a little bit about brand building, right?
Yeah.
Like how did you build your platform up to get that level of reach?
Let alone two, because like building one
right.
social media platform is hard work.
Right.
You built two, I'm guessing simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right. So this is asking for a friend. How do you build your page?
And I would say the Twitter's done pretty well as well. My Twitter has about 37,000 followers, so I'm pretty impressed with my Twitter.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty dope. It's funny because I knew you were gonna ask this question. I was like, how did I do it? I don't know. But because when you're in it, you don't even realize it's happening. But I think the most important thing is to be a person of value. And so people saw me going back to college, going back to grad school, going back to law school. So I didn't really tell my academic background, but I have an undergrad degree in finance. I have a law degree, and I'm halfway through my MBA at Pepperdine. So I just need to take a few more classes to get done with that. And I don't know, right? Yeah, and I know a lot of people who just like have over-indexed on education. Most people, they get their undergrad degree, they get their master's. But when you have that much value inside of you, it just comes out. And so all I'm doing is just adding value on the internet because I've added value to myself. And so outside of even just like academic education, like I just am an extensive reader. I remember I went through one year and I said, I'm gonna read 100 books. I read about 87. And I'm an introvert, so I don't really get around people like that. I'm not actually a sociable person. So my whole life, all I did was read. And that reading has come out of me because my mindset is just, in a lot of ways, more advanced.
Right.
And so I'll just say things on the internet, people will share them, they'll retweet them, they'll like them, they'll post them to their page, and that grows my reach. Yeah. And so if I'm always kind of showing you something that you've never thought about in a certain way, you're gonna share it. I tell my mom that all the time. She said something about like, if you're doing tax planning anyway, you might as well get the tax write-off for the tax planning because everybody comes to her for a tax write-off. People heard that and they're like, that's dope, that's fire. And so it's like you have to see the world a different way, and you have to share it with the world all the time. And I tell people, like, I actually enjoy social media.
Yeah, because that was the question. I'm like, bro, how do you manage multiple pages? You got to tweet, you got to post on 2 pages. You say, I enjoy it. I'm like, well, that probably is the easy answer to the question. And
that's the crazy part about it. They say, like, if you are doing something that you don't enjoy, you're going to get beat by the person who does enjoy it. So it's like, I post 10 times because I legit enjoy posting 10 times. I'm not like, oh, man, I got to create some content. No, like, I already got the content inside of me. Yeah. Or I'm so absorbed in finding new content because just like I enjoy like reading, I'm also binging podcasts. I don't watch a lot of dumb TV. I watch mostly YouTube. I'm watching stuff about either watches or real estate or stocks, things like that that's going to grow my mind. And then as I'm growing my mind, I'm just dropping gems on the timeline.
Right. And you know what? And this is my observation from the outside looking in, right? It's like I feel like you care more about putting out value than curating value, right? So it's like, I'm just gonna put it out. I don't care how many likes I get. I don't care what you think about it. Like it came to me, it's there. Boom. I seen this. Boom. I'm the conduit of value, right? And because of that, like it's just like, hey, maybe some's gonna stick, some's don't not, but you don't care. You put it out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like sometimes you can like perfection your way out of doing nothing or into doing nothing.
That's a bar.
And so for me, I'm just always like putting it out there because you never know. I've had like a fire tweet that I didn't crop out the thing, I didn't edit all this stuff, and it just lit up, it went on fire. Yeah. And then I've had stuff that I've actually curated that like flopped. Yeah. So I'm like, bro, like just get the content out there and let the people do what they want to do with it.
Like I always say, it's like if you go to a restaurant, a hole-in-the-wall restaurant, right, but it's still packed. They're there because the main thing they came from is still good, right? The ambiance is cool, it's dope if it's a vibe, but you came for the food. You came for the nourishment. It's the same thing with quality content, right? It's like, you can do all the curation, but if it's valuable, it's valuable. And people in real are gonna recognize real and absorb that content.
Yeah. And I think people need to hear that, right? Especially people who are just starting their content creation career. They're so in this perfectionism mode. And like you said, like sometimes good is better than great if you can get it out there fast. And don't get hung up if your content doesn't perform well. Go to the next piece, right? You know, because I think a lot of people get caught up in their own head about it has to be perfect, it has to be this video, it has to be edited. Just get it out there, people are gonna like it, and then keep it moving.
Right. Speaking about content and just getting stuff out there, you create more courses than anybody I've ever seen. My man got Turo courses, he got Start Your Own Business courses, he got this, you got it. So walk us through a couple of things, right? Like, why did you even decide to get into the course creation game, right? First part, and then two, how are you cranking out so many courses? The same philosophy. I'm just like, look, package the value.
I know this now, get it out, boom. Or because how many courses do you have?
Yeah, it's about 15 maybe. It's a few. I think
it's more than that.
It might be more than that.
Yeah.
More than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just walk us through that.
I actually got approached to teach on somebody else's platform before I even started my own platform. I didn't really have the confidence to just put myself out there.
Yeah.
But what I did is I taught on the Hood Estates platform. I taught them how to, I taught like the fundamentals of real estate, forming your LLC, all of that stuff. And I did that. People were reaching out to me. You get the customers and they're like, hey, they have further questions. They want to do consultations, things like that. And so it's just cool to partner with somebody who already had a platform. I'm just helping them. I didn't charge them nothing. I didn't charge Hood Estates anything. And then Andre Hatchett came to me and he's like, hey, like, we've been doing this real estate as a group thing. You should teach a course for the Black real estate course or school. I was like, all right, I can do that. So I went on his page, taught, and then we wanted to do some more, and we had a disagreement about how I should be compensated. And I was like, you know what? I think I want the equity. I've been seeing that I can get people who want to listen to me. Let me just try this out. I found that Gumroad is a platform that I could just kind of record my content and put it on there because there's other platforms that are a little bit more complicated, a little bit more like barriers to entry. And Gumroad was just like, boom, get it out there. And so I recorded this long distance real estate investing course and it did well. And then I started pulling other stuff that I'd already done for other people. So I was like, all right, well, let me add the LLC course to my platform. Let me add the course I'd already done for him, which was investing as a group. I added that to my platform.
Because your intellectual property.
Right,
So.
right. And so I started adding more things to my platform. And I was like, what else do I know? And I was like, all right, let me put this options course out there. I made a good amount of money with options. Let me see if I can just record that. And I launched it as a pre-sale. I didn't even record the content. People bought it. And one of the dudes was like, bro, like I paid for this. Like, are you gonna release it or not? And I was like, all right, I guess I gotta go in here and record this content. So I went in there, recorded the content and released it and it sold. And I just kind of like went to sleep. And then somebody popped up and they're like, bro, like I took your course and like I made this much money. Like, this is crazy. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then like somebody else kept saying the same thing. And they're like, man, I took your course. Next day I made my money back in the same day. I was like, dang, that's crazy. And so then I started getting bombarded with like all these testimonials and I knew I had something. And so then I just like put my foot on the gas.
Yeah, and I think there's a few lessons in that, right? One, you can sell something before you have it done. Right. I love pre-selling something because it does two things. One, it gets me on my own way. It allows me to get the product out there. But more importantly, when people buy it, now I have to go create it. So if I wasn't creating, if I was going to drag the tail, now because people pay for it, because they're waiting on it, it's going to push me to then go create the course. So I think doing a pre-sale, you can sell something before it's done, you can sell something before it's finished, and it's going to give you the fire under you to actually complete it. Right. Because if you didn't pre-sale, you probably would have took longer to come out with it. Then, and now you'd have missed out on opportunities.
I wouldn't have had anybody in my DMs like, bro, I paid for this course.
Give me my stuff, bro. Like,
and if you're a person of integrity, it's like, dang, I got to get it done. Because we ain't out here scamming nobody, right? And so it's like, nah, that's dope. And then the other thing I want to ask is like, so there's different schools of thought, right? And I see you joke about it. You know, I think you did a sale one time. He's like, high ticket Twitter is gonna be on my ass or something like that. But so you have you're an advocate of low ticket, right? And so talk us through the thought process because obviously you're a numbers guy. You could do the math well, and there's people like Terry. Shout out to Terry. Have $2,500, $5,000 program. And so, but you can win either way. So what made you decide to lean into like, I'm going the low ticket route. I don't care what nobody says.
I saw what Chris Johnson was doing.
Fair enough.
Chris.
Out to Chris.
So I had my stuff. I had my course out there. I think the options course is priced at like $400. They got a package that I had called like the Black Group Economics Workshop or something. It was priced at like $1,000. And I was getting sales, but it was really slow. And I saw Chris doing the same thing. He would do a $50 Friday, and then after that, he would post a check for $40,000 that he made that week.
Yeah.
And I was like, 40 grand in a week? Like, this brother must be doing something that makes sense. And I was like, obviously the $50 Friday stuff is working, so I started doing $50 Fridays. And my $50 Friday turned into me getting like 2 grand on one day. And I was like, 2 grand on one day is a good day, man.
That's a good day. That's how people
That's a good day.
Spots, you know? Like, yeah.
And so I was like, all right, this is cool. And I knew that like I would promote Monday through Thursday, run a sale on Friday. So if I got 1 or 2 sales per day, Monday through Thursday, I'd be happy because I knew Friday I was going to hit them hard.
Right.
But I noticed that when I just took everything and I just made it affordable, I got way more sales. And so for me, I tell people that we always talk about it being a numbers game, but we're not looking at the right numbers. We're looking at the per individual number, not the big number. We're not looking at 40,000 a week. We're looking at, I made 5,000 for one person. I made 2,000 for one person. And so people, they're aiming for like maybe 10K a month. I didn't want 10K a month. I wanted the 40K a week that he was getting. So therefore I just followed. Like a lot of times what people do is they don't do it until they understand it. I did it and I figured out why he was doing it. I figured out that people get paid on Friday. I figured out that there's way more people that have $50 than people that have $5,000. I figured out that if I made the money at scale, if I made it a no-brainer deal, if I give you so much value, you're gonna be throwing the money at me. Right. I didn't want somebody to take my course. I tell them that they can make $2,000 and maybe it works or it doesn't work for them because you never know how deep somebody is going to execute on your content. A lot of times it's not even the content, it's the execution on top of the content. So they're not even executing on the content. They're like, oh man, I paid you 2 grand, I made nothing. I didn't want to be that. I wanted people being my own sales team. And so people started just promoting it for me. They started telling their friends and family, they're sharing it, they're getting screenshots. And so for me, it was just numbers. I saw somebody who was doing it affordable, doing it low ticket, thinking of the world differently. Because we can all think like, I got to sell my stuff for 2 grand. That's easy. It's easy to say that $2,000 is more than $50. But if you look at it and you really start looking at the psychology of it, like it's like a okie doke, it's like a fake out. People don't even realize you're making as much money as you are, but you're just running it up. Right. Because we're all thinking like, man, if there's all these people on the internet and I tell them this for 2,000, then I'm gonna make a bunch of money. But what if they don't want to take the risk on you? What if they don't have 2,000? Right. There's way more people that fall into that category than fall into the category of I got $50 and if I can get $500 worth of value, it's worth my $50.
And I think the other thing too is like at the $50 price point versus the 2K, 2,500, 5K price point, they have to know you, like you, like they gotta trust you, right? But $50, I might not even, let me see this nigga talking about $50. It's $50, you know what I'm saying? Let me see. Yeah, it might be somebody who's even in the industry, like, let me just see if you got something I can add to my course, right? So I think there is a psychology, and the beautiful thing about it is you can win either way, right? Like Terry's obviously an anomaly, right? She's like me. I was joking with her at the mastermind. I was like, wait, her funnel is a YouTube video with the link to the course below. That's it, right? But what it also says, the undertone of this podcast is just be a person of value, right? Like people think you, and I'm not knocking because people do the funnels and they do it and it works well. But you don't have to do that either. You just got the gumroad, right? You don't got no fancy funnel and upsells and all that. Like, but it both works. But I think the underpinning of it is if you're a person of value, people gonna show up. How many times have people still gone to that hole in the wall restaurant, right? With bad customer service and everything else because the food is fire, right? What I came for is fire. So I think that's super dope.
And I think it's the selling psychology behind it too, right? If you sell a low ticket product, you don't have to do that much marketing. You don't have to sit me with an hour-and-a-half webinar to get me to spend $50. You can get me to spend $50 with a post, right? I never have to see you. So I think what people need to understand, like when you're selling digital products, are you willing to put in the work that's going to take to sell at that price point? Right. If you're selling something for 2 grand, obviously not Terry because she's an anomaly, but you're selling something for 2 grand, you're going to have to put in the marketing work, the webinar, the time with that person to convince them to give you $2,000 because we know that the heart follows the pocketbook. But if you're selling something for low ticket, like you can just text us, send an email out and people are, buying it. So I think that, whatever your price point is going to be, are you willing to do the marketing work it takes to sell a product of that magnitude?
No, that's 100% right, man. And I think at the end of the day, I think what it all boils down to is just picking a path, right? Like what path is right for you, and not like getting ahead of yourself. Like it's intellectual property, right? You create it one time, right? Like people this whole like charge your worth thing. Like if it's a service, I get it. Like to get me on the phone, like you gonna have to drop some money. You know what I'm saying? Right? But if it's a digital product, right? You just gotta kind of get out of your own way sometimes. Like and and get off your high horse. Like, bro, you created it one time. Like, it's hand over fist money.
One thing I will say though is you also got to realize where you are in the business development cycle. If you don't have no following, if you don't have any previous customers, no testimonials, you might have to still discount your value and get the following, get the testimonials, get all that value that's going to then allow you to sell at your true level. And so for me, that's still what I'm trying to do. Like, I made a good amount of money, but I didn't make as much money as I could make as I started to kind of build out all this stuff. So now I'm getting back in the lab. I'm like, how can I do this way better? How can I increase the production? How can I get that funnel? How can I get all these different things up? So then I can be doing Terry numbers. I can be doing the 100 M's, the 200 M's, that kind of stuff. Because ed tech is a thing. Like, people who have these degrees, who have this education, who have this experience, like, there is true value to be had in teaching somebody how to make $1,000 for $100. If I can teach you how to make $10,000 for $1,000 or whatever, it's a no-brainer. And that's how we're gonna get our true value, because these jobs, they haven't flipped. They're gonna sell you for $1,000 an hour and pay you $100. But you gotta flip it, and you gotta start selling your knowledge. You gotta start selling your true value at the market value.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so we talked about all the courses that you have, jokingly, and like all the different things that you've accomplished and all the things you've done. But you also got a lot of hustles. You got a lot that you do. You're up here because you had like to drop off one of your Turo cars, right? So you got Turo, you got real estate, you're the options guy. You got a truck, and what I've noticed, you're very hands-on with a lot of this stuff too, right? So how do you manage like all of these hustles, the brands, the business? Like, how do you manage all that?
Well,
do you sleep?
I would say, interestingly enough, I've realized that a lot of the stuff that I was doing before I got here, I shouldn't have been doing in the first place. So like the rental properties, I have a rental property manager now. The truck, I have a truck manager. The Turo, I have a Turo manager. The vending machine, I have a vending machine manager. And anything else I pretty much have a manager for. The only thing that I'm really hands-on with is the thing that has the most leverage, which is the social media and the course creation. Like, that has the largest leverage. I can send out a post and make $1,000 in 10 minutes. Like, that kind of stuff is what I'm trying to do. So it's interesting because when I was working a day job, I was doing day job activities. I thought that I had to be hands-on to make every single dollar out of that deal. I had to be delivering to the vending machines. I had to be dropping off the Turo and doing all those different things. And once I started to see how real money is made at scale digitally, I was like, I lost a big motivation for a lot of that stuff. Like, I started letting rental properties just linger. I started letting vending machines linger. The truck was just out there, the Turo does whatever, because the digital money was that much more lucrative. And then I had to say, like, I can't just let the business fall. But when my focus is now, my focus, it can't be on that stuff. Like, I have a really hard time even looking at things like that, like a rental property. Like, I be looking at rental properties like, F them tenants, man. Like, you're not about to call me for $200 a month.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was gonna ask you that, man, because like, and me and George joke about this all the time. The digital money is a gift and a curse. It's a gift because it's great money, but then you start looking at everything else as like, why would I even bother doing this, right? But you want to, at the same time, I feel like you want to diversify your revenue stream. So like when you told me like you're dropping off a Turo car, I'm like, bro, why are you like, you know, like you don't even need to be doing any of this. So I struggle with that because I have a rental property. I had a Turo business, but I didn't want to do it anymore. But like, you know, when you get that digital money, you can, like you said, you can make $1,000 in a post in 10 minutes. You know, but so I guess how do you balance that and still want to diversify your income, because Instagram got shut down, right? And you don't want all your income, you know, so like how do you balance mentally diversifying everything when you know one thing could just be so much money?
I think it still is an ROI thing. And so for me, the Turo was good ROI. Yeah. Like the money that I get back for what it does or what I paid for it is pretty lucrative. And then I'm also looking to replace other people's income too. So what's crazy is when I was working the job, I was trying to cash flow to get out of the job, but that wasn't really working. I don't know why it wasn't working. But now that I'm out of the job, I've been able to cash flow out of the job. And so now I have the truck rolling, I have these properties going, I got all these other things going that are taking care of it, like the Turo takes care of whatever, the truck takes care of whatever. And I've just been able to stack these income sources, which is kind of crazy. And so now I do it just because it does make sense. It makes sense to still bring in $2,000 a month. Like, although I can make $2,000 in a day, it still makes sense to bring in $2,000 a month, because I tell people that the world is a lot of times priced at broke boy levels. And so like the world is priced at people making $50,000. Yeah. And so if I can create something that makes $50,000, then I'm good. Yeah. And so why not do that? Why not start to like replace my mom's mortgage, replace all these other people's expenses with these different things of income. But also it is diversification, because when Instagram went down, I was like, yeah, it's real. Like, you got to have other stuff. Like, it might not be the most lucrative, but you still got to have other stuff. But I'm also recalibrating. I'm re-looking at different things. Like the single family homes, I can't do it anymore. I'm looking, if I were to do a new acquisition, it has to be 12 units or more, hopefully more than that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at scaling the Turo fleet. So I have to get to the point where I need more cars. I can't just have a few cars. Yeah. Scaling the trucks. So I needed to find things that work so I can double down on those things.
Yeah, and I love the way you put it. Like, if you look at something as replacing an expense or somebody's income, it changes the motivation. Right. It's not just a rental property; it's replacing my mom's mortgage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Which is worth a lot more than that $2,000.
Yeah, it's a lot. Exactly. Fact.
And that's the power of cash flow, right? Like the old, financial planning model is we got to, accumulation. I got to have $2 million in a portfolio and I can safely withdraw 4%. But now we know it's a lot easier to create an asset that can cash flow and cover the mortgage and cover those expenses in real time, in real life. So, that's super powerful, man. And so I guess for the people, just so they're aware, and maybe even to remind yourself, can we just kind of go through a quick list? Like, what are the streams? Let's talk about it.
So I would say the online courses, the online communities. So the options community, the mastermind.
And go into the depths. This is like a monthly subscription.
Yeah, it's a monthly subscription. So
you get multiple monthly subscriptions.
Yeah, so the mastermind, I want to say, is about $100 a month. There's about 100 people in there right now. So I want to say that brings in what? Like almost 10?
That's about 10,000.
The options community, I think, is only like $20 a month. It was really large at one point. I got a lot of competition, so now there's like 1,000 people in there. But 1,000 times $20 is like $20,000.
This is reoccurring. You don't have to do anything.
Reoccurring. And so what I do is I put admins in place. And so with the mastermind, we kind of flexed on that one. So the mastermind is I have 4 days. I got Andre doing one day. I got Henry doing one day. I got Bruce doing one day, and I come in on Thursday. Or we have a guest speaker on Thursday. So that kind of runs itself. The options community, I have an admin there that keeps the conversation going to make sure we got people engaged. And then I pay them what I pay them. Then I got the semi-truck rolling. The semi-truck brings in about $1,000 a week. I got the Turo car that brings in about $500 a week, approximately. My car's paid off. I paid it in cash, so that's why the ROI is pretty lucrative.
Okay, yeah. Just pay stuff off.
And then the Tesla's going out on Turo, but it's been kind of struggling right now, not getting booked for some reason. We got the vending machines. So we got vending machines in Glendale, which is up that way. Then we have, I want to say 5 rental properties in Michigan, Detroit. 5 of them are occupied and actually in tenant condition. We have a duplex out there that's in shell condition, 3 families out there that's in shell condition. I'm working on a flip. So I got a flip. Purchase price was $70,000. Rehab estimate was like $100,000. ARV is around like 250-ish, but I've seen some comps around 3. So that's like my day job is my flip. And then what else? The courses, of course. I think that's it.
Right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
I would say the most important thing with team building is autonomy, because it's like, I don't want to micromanage you. I want to hire competent people that understand the vision, or as they say, understand the assignment, and they just execute on the assignment. And that's what I found, because you're going to get, a lot of times what you're hiring people isn't just for the task, it's also for their mind. So it's like, I want to know how you can apply your creativity to what you see the actual vision of this organization is. It's not just an extension of Charles Todd, it's the goal, which is closing the wealth gap. That's the whole principle of Todd Capital, is to close the wealth gap. So I think autonomy is important. Hiring people that get stuff done. I don't like people who I hired them and then 2 weeks later I'm asking them, like, was this done? No, 2 weeks later you need to be telling me it's done, or even before then. I can't stand that, man. What else, man? I think that a lot of times you need to hire somebody who doesn't want to be you. Because it's hard to work with somebody who is like stealing bricks out of the castle, man. You teach them, because I tell people, like, I got to put you on a whole lot of game for you to work with you. Like, for you to work for me, work with me, I literally have to tell you everything that I do. And sometimes that's a gift and a curse, because I've had people who I've brought in, who I've told them a bunch of stuff, and now they got a duplicate organization. One of my favorite memes is the meme of the big ship, and you got a bunch of people making their own ship off of the ship.
Yeah.
So you got to find people who understand the value of working and adding value to you, and knowing that they're gonna make more money working with you than
trying to do this on their own.
Right. And so, and I be bonusing folks like crazy. My mom tells me I got to stop bonusing folks so crazy. So
Well, no, I mean, I believe in doing that because you incentivize them to just, work harder or work better or get stuff done without me having to ask. That's how you know you got a good person, when they just go ahead and do something without you having to ask them to do it.
Yeah, so, I'm not the best person to even ask team building questions because like my team were like this. So right now, I'm rebuilding the team that I had. I learned that sometimes it's not good for me to have the conversation with people because I'm so passionate about the business and the bottom line and what makes sense, whereas some people just see it as a task and a job.
Right.
And so like that's why I have to have people that talk to people. So I have like whoever the manager is that I can have that hard conversation with, you go talk to the other people. I was just rereading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's like it's not your responsibility to talk to the employees. You talk to the supervisors, you talk to the managers, and then they go out and they talk to those people. So for me, in terms of team building, it's just finding somebody who understands the vision, gets things done, and gets things done without having to ask me how to do everything. Because a lot of times that's what people do is they'll be like, oh, well, how do you do this? Like, go watch YouTube like I would watch YouTube. Like, go get a book like I would get a book. Like, you don't ask me how to do every single thing. I know that a lot of people believe in SOPs and automations and all that, but that's just not how my business is structured. My business is structured with hiring doers and go-getters, and a lot of times it's hard to even hire entrepreneurs in general. I can't hire people who listen to Tweet Talk podcast, and I can't hire people who follow me on Twitter because they just know my mindset too much. So like, I'm not trying to work a job. I follow Todd, and Todd hates jobs.
How you gonna give me a job, bro?
Now that makes a lot of sense, and so because I'm in same phase of just team build. Like I sent him an email the other day because obviously we have businesses together. He's like, "Yo, what's this about?" It's like, so I hired an outsourced HR consultant, right? To your point, like I want to make sure that I know the people that I'm working with. You know what I'm saying? Like personality assessments, like all that, because you think that you just like get into bed with people, but it's like you got to know who you're working with. You know what I'm saying? So that we can all be on one accord, we can all win together. And so what has been helpful for me is like I delegate outcomes and not tasks, right? Because when you delegate a task, it's almost like you're trying to take a trip to Florida, right? And you have the old school map, and it's like you got the turn by turn. What happens when the map flies out the window? You're stuck, right? Versus, hey, if you know we're going to Florida, you stop at the gas station, you figure out how to get you to the next place, and so finding those A players who can connect those dots. But what I have found value in is when you do have those SOPs and systems in place, it allows you to plug and play people a lot easier. That is the benefit, right? It's like, okay, that person didn't work out, we got a system. Let's move the next person in. So it's a challenge, it's a task for all entrepreneurs to build teams. I was just curious on your journey, your path.
Yeah, I mean, because like they say, like to get to your first 100,000 or get to your first million, is you working hard. To get to that 10, 100 million, is other people working hard for you.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of figure that out as entrepreneurs if we want to hit that billionaire.
Yeah. Billionaire B.
Billionaire B. So we ain't gonna hold you here too long. I do have one last question I want to ask, man. And I just love asking this question to people who inspire me. If you could talk to your self 10 years younger from now, right? You can talk to your old self. What are like 2 to 3 pieces of advice you would give, 18-year-old Todd?
That's crazy. It's a tough question. Where was I that age?
What was I even doing? What was I even thinking?
I probably would tell myself to man, that's tough. I gotta think about this one.
I should have prepped you on this.
Right. That's kind of deep.
Or let's frame it like this. What's, given the context of what you know now, right? All that you've accomplished, right? What's 1 to 3 things that like you wish you knew, right? You know what I'm saying, that you wish you knew 5-10 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I would just say that it's tough for me because I feel like a lot of what has allowed me to win is technology catching up to where my mind already was. Because a lot of things that I've been able to leverage are things that I wanted to exist that just didn't exist back in the day, where you couldn't necessarily package up. Like my biggest asset is my brain. My biggest asset is like the education and also the extra education that I've put inside of my brain through the podcast, through books, through all that stuff. And so I found that it's better for me to help other people than for me to be all things to people. And so what I wanted to do was like, hey, I'm Todd, I'm dope, I know everything about stocks. Come to me and then bring your money to me, because I was using the old way of doing it. Where the old model is like, all right, I'm the financial advisor, bring me your cash, so let me go ahead and just like manage your money for you because I'm smart. I don't want you to know what I know, because if you know what I know, you don't need me anymore.
Scarcity mindset.
Right, and so when I found out that I can actually flip it and I could just give away what I know, instead of trying to have them come to me, one, the liability is a lot less. And then two, I can help so many more people because some people won't even admit to you that they need what you know. I've had people who like in person, they won't tell me that they bought my stuff, but they bought my stuff. And like in person, cause like, it's like a humbling thing. Yeah. People will buy your course and get your information before they'll ask you for a consult. Cause asking for a consult is gonna be like having to humble themselves and be like, well, you have something I need, help me. Yeah. Or
help me. Please, me.
And then like a lot of people, they're kind of do-it-yourselfers too. So a lot of people don't believe in the who, not how. They out here trying to figure out how. So let me give you the tools for the how. So I would say that's what I would do is I would lean in more on packaging what I knew earlier instead of waiting until now and then releasing it, because a lot of times we can feel like we're giving away all of us, but really we're not. You end up growing more, getting back in the lab, learning more because you never really know everything. And in doing so, you have a larger reach. Because again, like I got folks who respect what I know, but they're not giving me their portfolio. Then over here, like, I need to write you a little $500,000 check. Like you can get that from like whoever, your family, but there's people, I guarantee there's probably even people who have financial advisors that want what you know, but they can't because they're stuck over here. So they can still get your knowledge now. They don't have to choose either or. Right. So that's what I would do.
And I love that point you said, like, giving it away. And this is a quote that if you think you're giving away too much knowledge, that means you don't know enough. So if you give some away, go get some more. Go learn some more, and then go give that away. You know, so I think that's a great point.
Awesome, man. And last question, man. What does being a melanin millionaire mean to you?
Honestly, I think it's all about family, man. If you have money and your family's still struggling, then like, what'd you do it for? So for me, it's not about the stuff. It's not about the cars. Like, I didn't realize that until I got there. I was like, you know what? Actually, I want everybody else to get free. I want everybody else to not have to be going somewhere and they tell you you can't live here because you don't have enough money. I want dignity for my family. I don't want people to just be pushed out, treated poorly. Like, I want my last name to mean something. I want anybody associated with me to not have to feel the pressure of this world, the pressures of jobs treating you like crap, talking to you like crap, acting like you need them more than they need you. I want that. And I think that's what being a Melanin millionaire is about. It's not about like the whips and stuff, although the whips are dope. All right, so yeah, I would just say that it's bigger than your pockets. Like we were talking about earlier. Like you start, like once you get that freedom, man, once you get the freedom, then it's really just a process of duplicating what you've already done. I tell people that I used to work in a family office, and I noticed this guy is 72 years old, showing up to the office. He's already been retired. His son is good. He's working for his grandkids now. He's putting them on. And so it's like we always talk about generational wealth, but we think we're supposed to just work and just leave it to them instead of just like working for them in that moment. And so for me, it's about using the knowledge, the resources, the network, the connections that you have to benefit everybody around you. So that's what it's about. I think about, of course, my son, my family, my mom, all those people need to be kept and taken care of if they're associated with me. Otherwise, what was it all for?
That's a fact. That's a fact. Peace, man. Until next episode.
Yes, sir.